Hello, everyone, and welcome to the House Salt Book Club live show, the first one for 2023. Woo! So I can't believe it's the end of January.
Fake.
Fake. Time is fake. Everything is awful. Hello, my name is Marines. My channel name is My Name is Marines. And this month we read Nevermoor, The Trials of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. And I gave this 4 out of 5 stars, 3.5 to 4 out of 5 stars.
I'm Sam from Thoughts on Tomes. I think I settled on a 4.
Yeah.
I think it was cute, and it's a middle grade, and it's my ratings of that are sort of different. If this was an adult, it'd be different, but for a middle grade, delightful. 4 stars.
Hi everyone, I'm Paige. You can find me on Paige Felicia everywhere, and I would give this, I think, a 3.5. Honestly, I think that's where I decided to settle on.
I'm Jordan from the Jordan Journals, and I would probably get like a 4. It was delightful.
Love it.
I'm Kayla from K Streets on the internet, and I at least gave this 4 stars, I would say. I haven't settled on like an exact rating, but at least 4 stars.
We're doing great.
And hi, I'm Connor, and my channel is just Connor O'Brien, and I think I'm Connor Booking It on all social media. And I read this book back when it first got published, and there was hype about it, so I ate it up and loved it, and I gave it 5 stars.
Nice.
Awesome. I actually loved this for us. It was a great start. This was especially great to me because we almost read this last year, as we said, and we bumped it last minute for a book we all hated. Justice for Nevermoor. And today I'm going to start with a little bit of a different question before we jump into the book itself, because even I was just looking as we were about to start on the back here, and it says like a perfect fit for fans of Harry Potter and Percy Jackson. And I feel like the comparisons to Harry Potter in this were like pretty pronounced, not by the book, but like outside marketing and stuff like that. So how do you guys feel about that? We know that everything is either like Harry Potter or like the Hunger Games when it comes to comps, and or Game of Thrones. If any of those can fit, they will like shove them in there. Do you guys feel like we did when we read like Akata Witch, where we were like, yeah, that's for fans of Harry Potter, where that feels true for this, or does it feel like totally different?
For me, this feels like I kind of do feel like the early Harry Potter books, this felt like that. Even like I feel like Akata, which was more like the middle Harry Potter books, and like this was more that like that little kid whimsicalness.
Yeah.
It's not similar in its plot beats. Like when people are like, oh well, it's not a magical school and whatever. Sure. But it is still like that kid that has a horrible life which is a middle grade theme still, like Chosen One themes and things like that. But kid has a horrible life and gets taken to a new place by a wonderful, endearing mentor figure, and discovers all these like eccentric friends, and there's a blonde bully. Like there's things that you're like, and then, we have this like, don't say the villain's name. Like none of these things are necessarily, like this was Harry Potter did this first, because absolutely not. But there were definitely things that I was like, oh yeah, like if you liked Harry Potter, but then don't want to read more of it, or you don't want to give it to your kids or whatever, I think this is a very similar vibe, personally.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I think that the character of Jupiter North is like a combo of Dumbledore and Hagrid wrapped into one. Like the cariness of Hagrid and like the kind of the quirkiness of him, and then Jupiter or Dumbledore is kind of high up in society, and so is Jupiter
and lack of answers.
Yeah. Secrets on secrets.
I'll tell you later.
I think also that there's similar beats at the beginning, and then it very quickly kind of veers off into the trials and everything. I will say it kind of comes back. I've continued on with the series, so I've read the first 3 books, and like the second book gave me Chamber of Secrets vibes.
Okay.
So because like in the second book, you kind of find out at the end of this one what makes her different, and that's something that's a negative. And in the Chamber of Secrets, Harry has like parcel powers or whatever, and that is like he's weird and othered because of that. Same situation in the second book, so there is some similar vibes, but I think it's different.
I definitely think the friendships and the found family is a lot of similar feelings. Like your friendship with oh my gosh, what was his name?
Hawthorne.
Hawthorne, the dragon rider.
Yeah. And how they sussed out the mystery and stuff, and how they piece it together. That felt very Sorcerer's Stone to me. So yeah, that's the found family part especially.
I'm curious about the later books. I'm not to answer the question that happens at the end, but I'm curious about the later books because if it matures with the characters like Harry Potter does, and I would say yes, because as I was reading this, I was like, this is very book one, but I could see them being older characters and how these relationships are going to change, which made me curious about the books that are already out. And but I feel like it is very similar to Harry Potter in the sense that if you want a series where you're growing with the characters and there's magical elements, then definitely pick this one up instead.
Yeah, I would definitely not say Percy Jackson though.
No.
Just saying it's Percy Jackson is well, that's just because every middle grade no, that's not the same humor. It's not the same feeling. I disagree. So
I mean, I think it has the very quintessential middle grade feeling that Percy Jackson also has.
Sure.
This has, but that's just because you're reading a middle grade book.
It's a middle grade book, yeah.
Anything more than that.
Middle grade adventure.
Anything, it gives me more Chronicles of Narnia-esque vibes where she goes to a different world. There's talking animals. There's still more magical elements in the first world she's in, but there's even more in the second. The people they're talking about at Christmas with the Santa Claus and the girly. That does the snow reminded me. I was like, that would be more the speed I was thinking.
I don't know if you guys ever read Inkheart, but it gave me a lot of Inkheart.
Oh yeah, Inkheart as well.
Okay, great.
Yeah, someone said in the comments Percy Jackson is an adventure, and I don't think that this is quite an adventure. She goes to one place and then kind of explores that one area.
It's more of a mystery.
Yeah.
Somebody also mentioned that this feels like a response to Harry Potter, with being more deliberate about including characters of color and queer characters. So it very well could be okay, we saw that done, do it a little better. Kind of.
A lot better.
A lot better. Okay, so let's jump into talking about the book, which all of us had a pretty good experience with it. And let's start, I think, with our main character, Morrigan Crow. Did you guys what were your feelings about her as a main character?
Love her. I just as soon as at the beginning, when all the curse stuff was happening and she was like, I didn't curse her, she just can't ice skate, or whatever it was that happened, some old woman breaks her hip and she's like, you shouldn't have been doing that, that her little attitude, while also being
writing the letters to them.
Yeah, right. And her being like, I'm sorry, I'm not. Just all of that. Immediately I was like, oh. And then as soon as she gets super attached to Jupiter, I just thought it was really sweet. So yeah, I quite enjoyed her. And her reactions to things felt, I don't know how it's going to be in later books, because I feel as series goes on, characters can get really frustrating, but I didn't find myself very frustrated with her. I was very much everything she's doing is making sense, and she's not doing anything particularly stupid. I think the only thing that was kind of stupid was when she went into the alley, but she was supposed to go into the alley to get by the witches in the fear trial. So that she had to do that for plot purposes, but I was like, why are you going down a sewer? But other than that, that's okay with me. So yeah, I liked her a lot.
I like that she makes mistakes that make sense, and then she learns from them and doesn't do them again.
Yeah.
Because that's the most frustrating thing, when the main character of a middle grade story just makes the same mistake 10 times in a row.
We love a self-aware queen.
Yeah.
I also I got frustrated with other people, not her. All of the frustrations I had were I felt like I was feeling them along with our main character. She was frustrated, and so was I. So that always makes you feel okay, we're on the same side, versus being frustrated at your main character. But I agree that she was a delight. I was immediately invested in her, and yes, her dry, snarky humor, and the way she just navigated all of her challenges, kind of unsure, kind of scared, but she's like when we see her use or make the jump for the first time, and she's kind of nothing to it, and just jumps or whatever, that attitude. I love it in a main character.
The way
here goes nothing, might as well go.
Yeah.
Well, her alternative is to just die. So it's okay, well, let's just do whatever it takes.
Okay. The anything else to say about this character? Sorry, I was also looking at the comments at the chat coming in. So
Just that like get behind me because like I felt so bad for her, like the way her family treats her. Like it's just it's okay, BB. Like come here.
Yeah,
But then when like
definitely.
the grandma cared when they go
She's
back.
I love the grandma. The
Yeah, I
grandma's
know.
my
I was
fave.
like, yeah,
She's
she
my
was
fave.
she was good. She was good.
But when they
Yeah.
were all like celebrating or refusing to like acknowledge that she was dying, and they're like, "Oh, it's just another day. Like it's fine. We're gonna celebrate these unborn babies and like forget about you."
oh my god, that
That's so
whole
sad
scene.
for her.
That whole scene where like the stepmom announces that she's pregnant, or everything about like that scene was like an immediate. That's why I felt like so immediately invested in her, is because that did such a good job building so much empathy for the character, and it was the snark and the humor and the injustice of her having to apologize for these things she's not responsible for, but you know all of the stuff about like not being wanted by her family, and like Nicole said in the chat that she like knew she wasn't going to live past 12 or 13, and like having your like death date looming is so intense. So even though she was kind of like sometimes down on herself or scattered, she still was like such a bright character considering everything that she lived through. And yeah, this beginning was like, okay, immediately I'm Team Morgan. For the queen. The other thing that really got me in my feels here was her friendship with Hawthorne. I just loved it so much. The thing that I don't know that I have like super big feelings about like Hawthorne as a character. I just have feelings about their friendship and how he immediately was like, "Come on, friend," and she kept being like waiting, and she's like, "I understand if you don't want to be my friend anymore," and he's like, "What are you talking about? Let's go."
Yeah, I love that he's just always down for chaos, and like if chaos happens around her, like he's totally fine with it. And also the fact that it started with him like sort of sticking up for her, even though that comes back around with that other character that I'm sure we'll talk about, Cadence or whatever, is like who spurned that. But like I think that's going to be very interesting. But the fact that he like sort of started with like defending her and then kind of went from there, I thought was very sweet. And yeah, he adds this like element of levity to things too, where he's just like, I don't know, there's a point at one point that like he with the knack or whatever, he's like, "Can you make fart sounds with your armpits?" And she's like, "Hawthorne," like you know, like he can't be serious ever, but he rides dragons. Like it's very funny.
Yeah, he gives big himbo energy in the best way because she's like the grumpy and he's the sunshine, and I love that pairing because he's always just there.
Retriever.
Yeah, literally that's them.
It's what in Golden Retriever?
Black cat.
Black cat and Golden Retriever.
As buddies.
That's adorable.
There's this story, I mean, definitely, like we've been saying, it has like middle grade energy. It is age appropriate, right? It's got that charm or whatever, but it had a few moments that were like super, I don't want to say like super deep, but they were like really poignant, right? And it had these like lines and thoughts or whatever. And one of the ones that like stuck out to me is when it's talking about them becoming friends. And there's just a line about how like Hawthorne extended his friendship so easily, and he couldn't have known what it meant to her. And I was literally like, no, why? So like it would have these like one-off lines that I was like, this is beautiful.
Yes. It was definitely one of those books that, and maybe that's why people make the Harry Potter comparison, because it was a book that was written for kids, but that adults definitely can enjoy. And there's even like parts in there, like there were words used that like I didn't even necessarily know, and I was like,
there were some really big words.
Yeah, and I was like some kind of descriptor that I was like, what word is that? So that's just like, you know, one of those things almost like not quite in the same level, but kind of like Shrek, where it's like, okay, this is a movie for kids, but it's also like there's things that adults can like get out of this too.
Or like parents and kids want to read together. They can both enjoy it.
And the parents not like, oh my god, this stupid book.
When someone brought up the line earlier about the one, I don't know who says it to her, but saying that she's not a burden on anyone, kind of thing. It's like,
I think it's Jupiter.
Morgan, I love
It probably
you.
is Jupiter, yeah.
Yeah,
it's very sweet.
He
says it towards the beginning too, which is like,
but yeah.
let's move on to Jupiter because he had some of my favorite moments.
Yeah.
But also he was mainly my frustration.
That's good.
Fair.
In this
Does he have
story.
ADHD?
Oh, probably.
Big neurodivergent energy from that guy.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you two of my big pet peeves in fiction. And you're gonna be like, ha ha ha, because Jupiter. One, forcing nicknames on somebody that they don't want is like a huge pet peeve. In real life, and it extends to fiction. If somebody tells you, do not call me that, don't call it. It's not cute. I hate it so much. I hate it so much. And the other is like the withholding of information. So every time he was on screen, he was like, hey, Moore, I'm not going to tell you. And I was like, yeah, so I struggled with his character. How did you guys feel?
Yes, like he definitely was a source of frustration because you were like, why are you always gone? Why are you not taking her to the bazaar? And she just wants to go to the bazaar. Like, why are you just not saying anything? I mean, it all comes back together at the end where you're like, okay, now I like kind of get it. But you're also like, sir, could we have some like slightly better communication skills?
Do you think it would have been beneficial for her to know all that information? Like,
no, but I think he
think
could have
it would have
something
made her-
besides don't worry about it. Like I think he could have been like,
Okay.
there is something very special about you. And we're keeping you safe here, and like you will find out after that. Like he could have said that. Like,
Yeah.
of
I feel
course,
like if
like-
I was,
Yeah, he
if
could
I
have
was
said,
11,
don't worry about it. You're
Yeah.
gonna be fine.
right. Like
Which
instead
would
of
be
it-
pointless for the book because you need to be worried about her.
Yes, but the fact that he keeps saying like we'll blow up that bridge when we get there implies that like she should worry about it because like it's gonna be a problem later because you're gonna have to blow up a bridge. So like that like instead of just being like no, like there is something, you do have something, you know. But
I
yeah,
feel like if I was 11 years old and someone told me that there was something special about me, but not to worry about it, I would think that I was like gonna sprout
Done.
wings or like
I
die.
I mean, she's already cursed.
Yeah.
Like she's a
Exactly.
kid used to being cursed, so or like being a cursed kid. So I feel like she could adapt to like would that have maybe changed then the structure where she's trying to figure out what it is, whatever, maybe. But
I would
I
like
don't know.
her if he lied and been
Yeah.
like, listen, I don't know what it is.
You're a witch.
Like,
Yeah.
You have to go to
You're rich.
just anything, but it's like the just like oh no blah, 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 I'll tell you the hand waviness. It felt like a lot
Yes.
of waving in order to move Morrigan along. And again, it explains it in a way that you're supposed to be like oh, but it's still the reading experience, even though I understood, was like not always fun for me because I was
Yeah.
getting too frustrated by all of the like hand waviness of it all.
Also, he couldn't even give her a straight answer about whether she could live there or not if she did fail. Like,
Yeah, how did he not plan that part of it? That was the part I was like, sir, she can
Yeah.
literally be deported. You should have like come up with something, got someone to fake some documents. I'm sure there's
Yes.
someone who could do it.
Adoption,
he was-
anything.
He was the one that his character was the one that really made the Harry Potter comp like it brought it front of mind for me because every time he did something, I'm like, you're literally Dumbledore if it was Jude Law from the beginning. Like every time I was reading him, I'm like, you're just young Dumbledore. That's it.
valid.
Yeah,
that's
but
valid.
I liked him as a character, but I knew what his like point was in the story, so I didn't have that much frustration because I knew like at the end it would all work out. But I was just like, you were literally just young Dumbledore for me.
Right.
Yeah, I cannot stress enough how much I hate an character. And it was supposed to be like cute, like family. I hate it. I hate it so much.
What did
I
you call
also
her,
was like
Mog?
annoyed.
Mog.
Mog.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But from like, I was like, oh my God, stop. But the way that and this is why they did it, the way that they use it where like she corrects them a ton at the beginning and then towards the end she just starts responding to it. It's supposed to imply this like, now I trust you, I'm part of the family. But like, so I see why it was done, but I'm also like, we could have just taken that part out and that would have been just totally fine.
Yeah.
Because her name's Morgan and she's going to keep, like, it's not like they changed the name to, like, no one else calls her Mog. Like, it's, yeah. But I think that's also part of his, like, don't pay attention to everything. I'm going to annoy you with a nickname. Like, I think that's kind of part of it too.
Yeah, I hated it.
Poor girl just gave up.
Yeah, she's responding to it because she's like, I cannot win.
I love that he had like a spider machine though.
Yeah.
Like that was like that entrance was very funny. Where he's like, "Oh hey,
He's a
sorry
rat.
I'm late. Getting my mechanical spider." Like I don't know. It just was like it kind of set the tone for the dynamics there.
I did really like the beginning of their relationship. And again, it had like standout moments too. I also liked her like looking at him, like hearing her thoughts about him. Like there was one too where she's like, oh, like he has his group of friends that he went through these trials with. And that's why like he can move through the world like he does, so confident, right? And like knowing. So all of those pieces were really good. But you know, I kept getting a little frustrated. So
I think the sweetest moment was the end with the chandelier where it's like a big black crow and he's like, that's my favorite one. I was like, oh my god, please stop.
I love the house.
Yeah.
The house, yes.
Yes.
The house changing her room up was like really cute. Like that little descriptor was just very cute.
The giant cat.
We got to get to the giant cat as like a separate issue because I am in love with her. But like
she becomes bigger later on in the series.
Okay, good.
Amazing.
Because I loved her.
Yes. She's larger.
She has a bigger role in the story.
And she had a pretty big role.
Giant.
She had a pretty big role in the first book. But I'm interested also how Jupiter's like the relationship dynamics evolve now that she does know stuff. Like, will he be less frustrating in later books? Because so he just keeps great. Because he is like he's the Dumbledore.
He's Dumbledore. Yeah.
I was gonna say like even though Harry learns things in the first book or two or whatever, it doesn't stop him from Dumbledore being the way he is in book 5.
Yeah.
Well, so she like at the end of this book we know what she is, and then the second book is about like her actually going to the Wondrous Society. It's a school now. Now it's a school.
So then it becomes.
Yeah, and so she's kind of like an outcast because of what she is, and he's a little frustrating because
he's like, it's fine.
Yeah, just go to school.
It's fine that you have no friends.
Yeah, and she's like coming home. She's like depressed, so he's frustrating.
I mean, the poor girl's been depressed her whole life, so I mean, she's really adaptable.
Someone said she's got a lot of Wednesday Addams vibes, and it's like
yes. That I was definitely thinking of this show when I was reading the book.
Yeah.
There are side characters to get to. I totally forgot. It was some point in the last last few things that we mentioned. I forgot about his nephew.
Jack.
Jack.
Totally that wears the eye patch, but isn't actually blind.
How did you guys feel about that character?
Well, he comes in like halfway through, right?
Yeah,
I mean, like maybe like not completely, but
he doesn't like her.
Their antagonism to friendship was like, again, I was like, this is very sweet. Like, I don't know. I just found it very endearing where like by the end, like he was really worried about her and like all this. And like, they just sort of, I think what was it? Oh, Christmas brought them together because they were so antagonistic about Christmas. And then on the way home, they have the snowball fight. Like, it's just cute. I'm like, kids, dumb kids. And they're little like, your enemies and now your besties. Like, I think that's relatable.
And then when Jupiter got the opposite color sleigh.
So cute.
Yeah. It's very cute.
And then the other friend was, I forgot her name too, the one that everybody forgets.
I guess she's not quite a friend, Kaigen.
She's not a friend yet, but she's gonna be, I bet.
Yes.
I'm obsessed with Cadence.
I'm very intrigued by her. Yeah. Like because she was almost like the more annoying antagonist as far as like the frustration you get than like Noelle, because Noelle is kind of just like, you're like so one-dimensional. Where Cadence, you were like, what's your deal, girl? Yeah. And then the fact that she's like, I didn't want to help you, but you remember me, and like, so I kind of like you now, and like that back and forth.
Only one that remembers me.
Yeah, and then she'll do things. Yeah, she'll do things double, like where she took her spot, right, even after she got saved. But then she went and like convinced them that it was a fake unicorn to like get her a spot back, like. That kid that doesn't know where they stand in their morality, I think is like kind of interesting.
We talked a little bit about Morrigan and like how intense it was for her growing up knowing she had a death day or whatnot. But all of these kids grow up in pretty intense situations because imagine nobody remembers you. Like I was getting really frustrated with Cadence because I was like, girl, what is your deal? And then when we figured that out, I was like, yeah, it checks out. Like I'd be a little menace too because how else do you kind of move through?
Well, and you can be, because the minute that you do it, nobody, like, there's no consequence to it. No one remembers you.
Right.
Addie LaRue Jr. on her.
Stop it! No.
It is interesting though, because it's like, which direction could you go in? She could also go like a very Kilgrave from Jessica Jones direction, where it's like you're walking this line of like you can be taking advantage of this, which at times she does, and then you could actually be using these powers for good, which at times she does. So I feel like that's it's going to be interesting to watch her grow.
Yes.
I knew as soon as she was like, wait, you remember who I am in the fright trial, I was like, they're gonna become friends, because like that moment of being like, oh my god, this person remembers me.
This person knows me. Yeah.
Yes. I love it.
She also had I listened to the audiobook, and she had a really monotone, like old lady voice in the audiobook, which was really interesting. It was kind of spooky.
Which makes sense, because monotone, you kind of like put it in the back of your mind.
And that's the way that she has to speak her like powers or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Yep.
And then did you guys get all your feelings out about the giant cat, or do we need to?
No. She's the best.
What's her
I
name
love
again?
her.
Fenestra?
She's grumpy. She's a big cat. She's a cat person. I love her. Like she just like, as soon as she was like the best of the part, I mean, I already liked her, but then when they did the chase trial and she was like getting competitive and then he's like, she used to be a cage fighting cat, and it's like, what? And like I knew she'd be like, yeah, like we're gonna go for that courage.
That rhino is out to get everybody.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Watch out for that rhino.
I love that whole sequence.
It was just like so good.
You go.
Like, right, I'm gonna get you one of those gold ones. Yeah, she's sweet. Or even like there's parts at the end when Morrigan like comes back or whatever, and like Fenn's one of them that's like there, like, are you okay? like.
Her reaction when Morrigan was gonna leave to go back to like the Republic, and she like butts her with her head, and I was like, oh,
massive head.
Yeah, or even like the little funny line she would have, where like at one point she was grooming herself, and they'd be like, she's like, I'm taking a shower, you weirdos. Like, just very, very cute.
I just really like the Wunimals overall, like across the board.
Right, like that. There's just like all these little animal people around.
Yeah,
just adorable.
I find that what we've talked about, even as we're talking about the characters, we keep like pulling in like moments that stand out. I feel like this had so many scenes that are like vivid, like super vivid things that like will just live in my head rent free. Whether it's the giant cat person like racing a rhino, the whole shadow sequence in the hotel where they like let out the shadows or whatever. I thought that was like such a cool scene, and it also was like super vivid in my head. So I think it, like, I can't tell you anything. I mean, we've mentioned some of the quotables or whatever, but the writing itself, there isn't anything that I can tell you. The writing is like this, but it still was like super vivid. Like I got scenes and pictures in my head. Was it the same for you guys?
Yeah, definitely. Like I feel like middle grade has that quality though too, just in general, but there's definitely like that whimsical nature of things, and the way in which it is described, where it is like very clear in your head and it's not worried about getting bogged down.
It doesn't have to be overly flowery. You can just directly kind of,
you just be like, this is how it works. I don't have to explain it. I don't have to explain it to you. This is how it works here. And it's like, great. I love it.
She was like directly inserting pictures in my head. Like directly.
We didn't really have a problem with like action scenes, but I feel like it was the opposite, where the action like packed, like the trial scenes were actually my favorite part of it, where like everything was happening, because like you said, it was easy to actually imagine what was happening. And so it was I just really love the trials in each of them.
Same.
I love how she went 74th or whatever, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to sit through this.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Yeah, she had ways of like not wasting time with the writing, where like time is passing, like even between trials, right? It was
Yes.
like you get a tidbit of like the slice of life stuff, and then it'd be like, okay, a trial's happening, and I wasn't sitting there like, oh, I'm so bored, you know, like it
And
was.
this isn't the
moving
shortest middle grade novel ever. I
No.
mean,
It's like
over
450.
400 pages,
Like
Mhm.
460.
which is like
Yeah,
that's a big,
it's a
that's a little
chunker.
chunky.
I mean, the font is like pretty. It's like
Yeah, and it's shorter
it
than
is
most.
pretty chunky.
Yeah,
But like, yeah, it makes you feel good because you make a lot of progress quickly.
exactly.
I finished
Yeah.
early this month, guys.
You
I
finished
finished,
so
like, 2
early.
weeks ago.
So
I
proud.
was like, look at me go. And I was like, middle grade, don't expect this from yourself. Like, all right. We haven't really anything about like the plot or the ending or any of the twists and
What
turns.
about the villain?
Who was the villain?
Ezra.
Ezra, the
Squall?
Wondersmith.
The Wondersmith, Mr. Jones.
The entire thing that's looming over them the whole time. It's like saying who's
Oh,
Voldemort.
yeah. I was like,
I thought that the twist with the villain was actually like I didn't until later. I like did not make the connection that Ezra was the assistant and Ezra was the same person.
yeah.
Like I really didn't. Like looking back now, I'm like, duh. But like at the time, I was like, no, like we haven't. I knew that Ezra was the guy from the Republic. Like obviously, the Wondersmith was the guy that was in charge, but I didn't think she had met him that whole time. So
I
didn't
didn't think that
line or
Mr. Jones was him.
right.
Yeah,
Like
same.
I was like, oh, he's definitely the dude that's controlling the Wonder in the Republic or whatever. But like, yeah, I didn't think that it was him the whole time. And then I was like, why is he not being seen by any? Like, what's going on? And then when the whole Gossamer line thing, I was like, oh my god! Like, all these things were dropped in a way that like you make the connections later. But I wasn't sitting there being like, oh, that's definitely what's happening. Like, I did not make the connections at all because I was so mesmerized by everything else going on.
Yeah.
I knew he was kind of weird because he was just showing up at times where Morrigan was alone, and I was like, "Something's up with you that you're being a creepy guy right now," but I don't know what.
That was
Well,
my
and it wasn't
suspicion was,
until like maybe he comes at like Christmas, no, Halloween.
Halloween, for
And
the
like
French
it was
house,
Halloween,
yeah.
and they make some comment about him, and she doesn't see him in the hotel. And like, why would I not see you in the hotel? And he's like, "Oh, I'm just here real quick for business." I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
ooh, something is weird about you.
What were you gonna say, Mari?
that that was my suspicion because of the way that she kept meeting him and how he turned up or whatever. I this was pre when we found out nobody could see Cadence. I was like, can no one see this man? Like I thought that was what was happening. It's like she was experiencing something that nobody else could, or she was talking to a ghost or something like that. So I didn't guess the like twist of who he was, but I definitely knew like something's up with this man from like when we met him, and she was like, come work for this great guy. I was like,
yeah,
don't work for no man.
Right. Yeah, it was very much like, yeah, especially because you had some of the like news scenes happen before where you are hinted at about who that dude is, but yeah, I knew something was off, but I didn't think it was him.
Yes,
although
right.
this line, what do you think about
he
that?
is a villain.
I mean, he did.
Is he a villain in the way that like
people? He murdered people,
right?
Yes.
But is he a villain?
Right.
Hold on. Is he a villain in the way of like Killmonger? Where like
right,
they
the
had to make
MCU villains where you're like, you have a point, but you are
I don't
achieving this in the
think
worst
so.
way possible.
It's a middle grade book.
I know.
So
it is a middle grade book. So
I
like
will
you
say
can't
though, in this first
expect
book,
it to be as...
go ahead. Sorry.
Nope, that was it. That was
Okay.
all I had.
In this first book, he's not.
Sam.
Guys, I'm not
Sam.
arguing that he's not. I'm just saying that the why are you yelling at me when you're not yelling at this person? Tag this person.
I'm just saying that in the first book, I don't think that he's as villainous as he acts. Like we've heard that he's done terrible things, but we haven't like seen it as much. But in the later books, like he's a villain.
He's doing stuff.
He's
a
just
bad
like
guy.
this big bad that we don't know anything about yet at this
Nicole,
point.
I am not saying that. I am talking about a discussion. Killmonger is also the villain. It's just
yeah, okay, but I think it's different because why he murdered all those. Like, is there a good reason why he murdered that square full of people that wasn't he wanted power versus Killmonger?
But
it's
it's
like
one
racism.
of those. Right. It's one of those like, is it like what someone said earlier? Like he's the best kind of villain. Like, is there something that like he ultimately the villains are really interesting when they think that they're doing things for like a good reason, not just like a mustache twirling reason.
Those are the best.
Those are the best.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Like so that's the argument I was making.
Yes.
People.
Right. The best
Listen with your ears.
that start with a point. And then they go, I know how I will achieve this murder. And you're like,
yes.
oh, that's why you're the
like,
villain.
no. Yeah. Like that's not actually appropriate. You know?
Right. Like all their conventional ways are like too difficult. They're like, it would just be easier
if
right.
I could kill everyone.
Right.
And you're
Or
okay.
like very giving very much like that sort of like darkling energy of like you're a horrible bad person.
I could see the Darkling comparison.
Right. Like you think that you're doing things like you started with this like I'm doing this to help people, and then it was like no now you've done a genocide.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's actually not appropriate. But that same energy of like you know, like the Darkling will say like, you know, we're different, we're not like everybody else. Like he's already doing that. The Wondersmith is already doing that with Morrigan of like we're special, we're beyond reproach.
Yes.
You know,
like I don't doubt he has things to teach her because they're like one of a kind, whatever. But I am still firmly when it was his response to her being like, "But you murdered a bunch of people," and he was like, "Yeah,"
and he was
like,
nah.
"Okay."
He's like, as I should.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be an interesting, like, what I'm assuming is going to happen, and Connor, do not confirm or deny, but what I'm assuming is going to happen is she's like, I don't need you, and like she'll pop in to be like, do something, you know, like he'll have to train her in some backhanded way, and like he'll do it and betray her and whatever. Like I'm thinking that kind of trope will pop up of when you have like villain has information you need. You know, because no one else is the Wondersmith. So like
it is very much setting up the villain is like, you know, the has that like one of a kind. It's one of my least favorite things actually to see. But not in like it's more like a story. Yeah. But when it's like the villain is like, you know, you want to embrace your evil side. I hate it. I mean, just because it like makes me frustrated, but I can see that going like because they are both one of a kind, it taking on that very like
two of a kind.
Kylo Ren, Darkling, like come on, embrace your darkness.
right. Yeah. Like he'll definitely like again, especially with I'm interested because of her in book 2 feeling more secluded from everyone. That's going to be his in to be like, see, everyone's a dick to us. The murder's justified. You know, like that kind of energy. So someone said the mentor that she'll inevitably defeat, kind of thing.
Yes.
Like yes, that vibe I could see.
I'm so excited for the 4th book to come out.
By the 4th book, what they're like 6? Are they going to be almost like 16?
No,
is it happening? Or
it's 11 or 12 in this first book?
She's like, well, she had just turned 11, right? And she's so it's 12 by
12,
the end.
13. She'll be 14 in the next one.
Oh, okay.
Do we know how many are planned?
I think 7.
Oh, that's so fun.
That's why they're comping it. Like
it's
adding up to the age
and going from a middle grade to a young adult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I was thinking about like Ezra in comparison to like Voldemort
9
too.
People are saying in the chat 9 are planned.
Oh,
9.
Wow. So it is going to be like fully young adult.
Love that.
At the end.
At first, I heard 7, so I stand corrected. 9.
Maybe it's been.
All
I mean,
right.
it is a really popular in the middle grade. Like it had like 60,000 reviews on Goodreads, which is pretty decent for a middle grade.
If you get a hit middle grade, just keep writing it. I've read 15 books in the Wings of Fire series.
Me too.
That's what's so fun about middle grade is you can keep going in a way that doesn't feel like drawn out because it's like whimsical and fun.
And they're so young. You can just age them up in
you
a
have your
way.
whole life.
Like,
You have a whole life. Percy Jackson's still going. Like,
it is. Yeah.
Those kids too, like they'll just keep reading because they're like their favorite characters. They become they love them so much that they'll read whatever you give them.
Well, yeah, I started Percy Jackson when I was really young, and I'm still.
I mean, to really bring the comparison home, we've learned that Harry Potter is the worst, and there are still people who won't let it go. So if you start them young, people will definitely make them these characters in the
part
series
of their identity.
Yes.
Brand loyalty for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, someone was talking about, as far as like adaptations too, if we're making this comparison of like wanting to see like a Studio Ghibli adaptation of this. Which I
Oh,
think
that'd
would
be
like,
that's the perfect.
lovely.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
That would be so
Yeah,
cool.
it has been optioned. I mean,
Has it?
obviously, yeah,
Yeah,
but
well,
options mean nothing.
optioned, yes.
But
No, they don't.
Yeah.
yeah,
I would actually love to see this in any type of animated format. Like I do not want
Mhm.
live action. Like
No,
at all.
not live
a lot of
action,
people
yeah.
will buy options just to prevent a
Other
competitor.
people from
Yeah,
making it.
like
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah,
Which
so
is
rude.
rude.
Yeah, it needs to be. It definitely
is
needs to be
rude.
animated. That'd be
Mhm.
really cute.
Yes.
Like the new Percy Jackson series.
Is the new Percy Jackson
is it
animated?
animated?
Live action.
Oh, it's live
It's live
action.
action. Yeah,
Live
yeah,
action.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it. Why did I
The
think it was
Disney one?
animated?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I mean, I'm still gonna
Me
watch
having
it.
never read it.
I've never read it either. I've only read the first
Yeah.
book. in Percy
Yeah, I
Percy
did
Jackson.
Jackson?
I read it as an adult though, and I was like, yeah, that was a
Same.
book.
Yeah.
And I
Until you
don't
see the
like
movie, that's
I
it.
don't like Rick Riordan's like
So bad.
young boy
So
humor,
bad.
which like that I get
is young
it,
boy
but I'm
humor.
also like I don't.
It's like
I
it's
don't
one
vibe it.
part like boy middle grade humor and one part dad jokes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yes.
both of those I hate.
And I like
So
it.
it really rubs me the wrong way. Oops. And like the audiobook is also like awful in its narration, so I'm
Oh,
just
I've
like
never
I
read it.
can't
I've
read
never
this
heard it.
anyway.
Sam, can I interest you in?
I will take one of those, please. Oh my god.
I can't believe it's gonna be 9. I'm so excited for that. That makes me happy.
Yeah. Oh, so
Well,
I
she
guess
took
we
it
kind of
great.
answered the question, but are we all planning on reading on in the series?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did already, but yeah.
It might be one of those like where because I think it was what like 3 years between the last book and this one, Connor, this new one that's coming out. I think the
It's
last
been
one
a
came out in
while.
2020. Yeah, so I'm like, if you wait that long between installments, I will forget and then I'll stop.
I don't remember the name of the third book.
but-
The second one was Wondersmith.
Holopox.
That's the thing too. Did any of you
Oh
know?
yeah, that was a pandemic one.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, that
Did any of
sounds
you
right.
know the second book title besides Connor? Because when I knew the second book title was Wondersmith, so like whenever they were talking about
Oh,
Wondersmith, I was
okay,
like,
yeah.
Well,
Mm,
I kept looking at the
I
back. I
didn't
was
think
like,
it was
"That's
her.
yeah, that's the
Yeah,
next one."
yeah. So I
You're
didn't think
right,
it was
it
her, but I was
came-
like, what's the deal there?
yeah.
it came out in
I think I'm gonna-
2020. That is a really long time between middle grade books.
Yeah.
Do you think that the pandemic and all of
It
the
could have
stuff
been
that
a
happened?
pandemic effect.
Probably struggle
Yeah.
lesson.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Yeah.
she published a book about a pandemic during a pandemic.
Wait,
And so it
what?
was like,
Yeah,
let's make
Holopox.
sure that
Oh,
the
the
next
Hollow
one,
Pox was a pandemic book.
it is
what
a
you're.
pandemic book.
I thought you
yeah.
were saying it came out during the pandemic, and I was like, oh yes.
No, it's a pandemic
but it's
book
also about
during a pandemic.
I am.
Right before the pandemic. Right?
that
Was
when-
it? Did you say January?
I didn't.
Oh, I
I
thought
mean,
you said
a
it was
lot
in
of a lot of books I feel like came out during the
February,
pandemic. that were
yeah,
actual
right before.
pandemic.
Mhm.
Hey.
The timing impeccable.
Yeah.
Lots of books include pandemic. So
like these.
Mhm.
We had like several in a row.
We did.
Right.
We didn't
We did,
even
we
try
did.
to do it.
right.
I think I'm gonna get to these like pretty quickly in terms of reading the ones that
Yeah.
are out, even though
Yeah.
like that it might be like some time between the books or whatnot. One, because I'm just like more, but two, I feel like I will retain enough, or I don't know. With middle grade, I feel like it usually takes care to be like previously on, like
Yeah.
build
Yeah.
the
Yes.
story.
Yes.
You know, so I feel like I just want to read these all now and feel
Yeah.
good inside. With my sad, depressed children. Yeah. Anything else about this story, these characters, moments, quotes, lines, anything stand out for you? Oh, one thing and I'm answering my own question. Anything stand out for you? Yes, actually. I was so surprised by like all of the commentary, like the xenophobia and like the
Yes. Okay. You're so
Yes.
right for running
I
that
was
up.
Yes.
just
So
like landing
true.
these lines and moments. Morgan Crow really said ACAB in this book.
Yes. And like fuck ICE. 'Cause they definitely were like saying stuff about like you're a filthy illegal. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't expect to necessarily have like that heavy hitting of commentary on it, but it was like, yeah,
Mhm.
it's relevant, like especially because when she was probably writing these was when we were having like not that it stopped, but there was like a lot in media about like ICE and stuff and like immigration. So I feel like that was definitely an impact on this as well. But yeah, her constant fear of being deported, I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
baby.
I just appreciate like getting that out to younger audiences too, so that they can recognize like that is the bad man who is thinking this way, and then, like this is our Morrigan who just so like laying that all out, I was like, yes, Kaigen. And it was not I felt like it came out of nowhere. I was like, where did this message come from? But I appreciated it. I loved it.
Totally.
I don't know if we'll learn more, but like I really want to know more about her grandmother because she seems very
Same. She was in the know about stuff.
She knew about the world.
Yeah. She might know some things.
This is classic adults reading middle grade, where I'm like,
I want to know about the adults.
Grandma, I want to know.
Yeah, where the little kids would have like not even picked up on it, and like, we'll be like, I knew, like, you know, as soon as something gets revealed. Yeah, very sweet.
You promised that you never bring her back.
If anybody has any questions for us left in the chat, or if you guys have anything else, I won't answer this time.
No, I think we covered everything. It's nice, not that tread carefully, but a good start for the new year.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. I think this method of like switching who chooses and like thinking, I think it's gonna work for us.
I hope I get at least one because I'm going to throw a wrench into everything with one choice.
You're gonna be like,
but it will be the best live show. I'm telling you, it's gonna be the best.
It's gonna be like
show.
Depressing and like
or it'll be like a fucking.
It's a chaos choice.
It's gonna be Cassandra Clare. She's gonna be like,
no, it's not Cassandra Clare. Y'all will never guess. That's what I'm gonna say.
Y'all will never guess. Oh my god.
She's gonna make us read Barbarians too.
Yeah.
It's on my 241 list. So I have to read the next 2 books because I do own them, but I will not be
that. Mackenzie asked, would you read a book like this with older characters?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
100%. I don't know what Hixie is. House. House in the Cerulean Sea, but not inspired by or featuring romanticized genocide. I mean, any whimsical books that feature adult characters, I do quite like. You know, this is that.
I don't like adult, but like teens.
This, thinking about that makes me feel like reminds me of the Wayward Children series. Like that, I feel like would be this sort of aged up. That feels very similar to me.
This one did give me a little bit of House in the Cerulean Sea, like with the magical house and the magical creatures in the house vibes,
and just the hand waviness around, like cozy fantasy that's not necessarily focused on a magic system. That is just like things are this way and it's cute, and you're like, great.
I accept that.
I love that.
I love that.
Someone said this book makes them think of Amari and the Night Brothers. I get that.
Another middle grade, right? Isn't that
which
middle
I
grade?
really love too.
I did too. I really like that one.
Alston, right?
B.B. Alston.
It's up there.
Do you organize by alphabetical order on your shelves? Who are you? Anyway,
God.
let's not discuss now.
B.B. Alston's up there.
I organized by vibes only.
I was gonna say mine's vibes
I'm
only.
vibes.
I'm a genre girly.
Yep, genre and vibes.
I tried that and I cannot do it. I started pulling out all my middle grade and I was like, absolutely not. No.
It's very funny.
Oh yeah, somebody reminded me. Shirley, or somebody just said in the chat, Shirley Morgan's mother is going to be someone significant. Her powers aren't from Corvus. I thought the mom was going to show up later when it was like somebody signed her permission slip. I was like,
fair.
Her dead mom.
It was her grandma, but I do think that Connor, don't say anything. I don't know.
Well, we know that grandma doesn't like her mom because she put her portrait at the end of the hallway with the dead pets.
Was it all a ruse? Like it's interesting. Also, like, did we really fully get an answer about like the cursed children all being born on Eventide and they all
have the
potential?
The
potential for wondersmithing.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
that's my wonder.
Yeah.
Wonder.
It's very much giving like Umbrella Academy, like
Okay,
like
yes, that is another comp that I
yeah, they're all born the same day and they happen to have like abilities. So yeah. Oh, Nicole says I thought maybe the mom was the reason Jupiter cared about her.
Ooh, spicy.
Because also, like, how does he know? Like, how did he know?
Yeah,
about her.
I know.
I don't know. He said that
I
the
know he's
other
in the
ones
Explorer
weren't.
Guild or whatever.
Yeah, the other ones weren't of any interest to him or weren't worth pursuing.
Maybe he went there and he didn't see like the gathering around them, but he saw it around Morrigan. I don't know. It might be explained in a future book, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Umbrella Academy vibes from the cover alone.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, it really is. That's a good comp.
Literally umbrellas and an academy.
Umbrellas play a huge role. So true.
That's funny. I mean, different kind of umbrella situation, but yeah.
Yeah.
Is this Jupiter North on the back? The
Does he
redhead?
have does he have ginger?
Does he have ginger
Yeah.
hair?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Who are the people on the front besides Morgan? I read the ebook, so I didn't see the cover.
Jack has an iPad.
Hawthorne, maybe?
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't
Jack
seen
and
the-
Hawthorne, maybe.
No, this person is.
No, this is Jack. Who's this?
Right.
This is Jack. I don't know.
Who's the woman?
Yeah.
This
Is it the Dame whatever?
Oh, maybe.
It might be because that's the order that they went down in. She was one of the first people to go down, jump over the ledge.
And there's the cat.
So it could be.
Yeah, I saw the cat, which is
Yeah, so it's probably Dame Chandra.
Yeah.
She's the one that knew about Ezra, right?
Yes, she's the one that gave the little portrait and was like, he was so hot. Don't let anyone know I said that.
I can't let the most dangerous criminal in history know he was hot.
Yeah, literally.
Awesome.
All right. I think we are wrapping up.
I love that there was not much negative said
No,
in this
it was
one.
fun.
Yes,
It was
I
a good
hated
one.
Wow, we all did
hated
have
the
a good time.
Yeah.
Mari hated the nicknames. That kept it from being over a 4-star for her.
That and some of the just like hand waviness over the like withholding of information. I wish that were done a little more smooth. That's what really kept it in that 4-star range for me. It wasn't like a perfect 5 stars because I wish that portion were a little more smooth, but otherwise, like so charming. Loved it.
So cute.
Yeah.
Good job, Jordan.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan.
Jordan, had you read this before?
Nope.
No, you just wanted to. Okay.
I had wanted to, and then I was very, very salty that I got bumped.
Jordan had a vendetta against us.
Yeah.
Fair.
We're really lucky that you're still our friend. We appreciate it.
Because I had never wanted to read the Bone season, so I was like, yeah, I'm not reading this month's
So
book.
fair. So true. We should
She
not
saved herself.
have- Yeah.
She saved herself.
I still have that
Next
somewhere.
month we have Sam's pick.
Yes.
Right, Sam? You picked
So
the
Mhm.
book, Letters
Yes.
and Lattes by Travis Baldree. Another cozy fantasy, which
Love it.
look, you know,
We love.
we're
to see
really
it.
here for the vibes.
I believe there's lesbians too. I think
I think
it's
it's
gay.
Sapphic, yeah.
Sapphic, cozy. I feel
I'm
like
in.
I'm feeling good.
Right.
I'm feeling good.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
The first one of us that
positive
ruins
energy.
the like.
I feel like it's
Street.
Ew.
It's gonna be me.
No,
What's-
that
what's
the
March?
Sword of Kaigen has very
Oh, I have that one.
feedback.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just nervous though. I don't want to like.
I think it'll be Paige. When Paige gets picked,
No,
she's
it's
gonna
gonna
throw
be
us
me.
something bad.
We're not gonna enjoy the book, but I'm telling you, the live show will be spicy. It'll be beautiful. I cannot wait.
Paige. Oh my God.
You're gonna hate it, but you're gonna feel
It's
good
gonna
about
get.
it.
What was the one that we did? The one with the girlies bachelor, but dystopian.
Oh, the selection.
Selection.
It's giving that energy.
Oh boy.
Oh, Jesus
Okay.
Christ.
But I saw
No
that
way.
she tweeted out that like a book club was finally nice to her. I was like,
It wasn't us. Wasn't this book club? Oh, man. All right.
Next one, when it's time to pick new ones, I'm just gonna put Paige on 6 pieces
Yeah.
of paper and be like,
Thank you.
it's Paige.
That's the only bad one. I'll give you good ones otherwise, but I have one bad one.
That's so funny.
Paige has a point. That was a good live show. We aren't house salt for no reason.
Right. We do have to have some saltiness. It can't be all sweet this year.
Exactly.
Ugh.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Happy New Year, I guess. This is the first
Oh,
time
yeah.
we saw you. So Happy New Year. We'll see you again next month. We'll let everybody know about date and time. But yeah, I think
We're trying to shoot for the last Sunday of
last
the month.
Sunday and 7 p.m. Eastern time is like what we're gonna try and consistently do.
Mhm.
So just put a little sticky on your calendar for that. But yeah, we'll see you again next month, and thank you so much for being here.
Bye.
Bye.